have a very chilly morning this morning. I had to put my down coat on. It's probably a little colder than I really was expecting it to be right now because I am no longer in California. Here it's fall, and I have decided to do like a lot of nomads do. I've taken off, headed for the hills, and instead of going south, I went the other way. I headed north. I'm back in Seattle. Now we should probably stop for a moment here and just explain that a little bit. I'm not actually in Seattle. Whenever I come back to the state, Washington State, I usually have to say that I'm in Seattle because there seems to be some confusion. If I say I've returned to Washington State, people think that I've gone east. I'm not on the east coast. I am in the Pacific Northwest. I've been in the Pacific Northwest. I was just in the California portion of it. Now I've moved a little bit north up to the Pacific Northwest of Washington State, or as I sometimes call it, the state of Seattle, because that seems to be a little bit better understood. So I'm not in Seattle, but I am not too far away. I'm just outside of the town of Port Townsend, and I'm in one of my favorite state parks of all state parks, certainly my favorite state park in Washington State. This is Fort Worden. Been here many, many times, and I come back here because, like I say, it is my favorite state park in Washington State. I should just say that every time I bring up the fact that this is my favorite state park in Washington State, people tell me that there are better state parks. You're probably right if you have different opinions than I do. This is my favorite state park, and so that's why I return here so often. So if we take a look at a map, we'll see that Port Townsend is a little bit northwest of Seattle, so not very far away. And this area here is usually referred to as the Olympic Peninsula, or sometimes they call it the Olympics, or just the peninsula. And this is my favorite part of Washington State, which is why I come back here so often. One of the reasons why I like Fort Worden State Park so much is there's a bunch of hiking trails here that have these batteries set around that you can go in. As you can see behind me, they're open. You can not only walk up on top of them, but you can actually go and get a peek inside of them as well. Very cool state park, and just outside of Port Townsend, so it's conveniently located. There are deer all over the grounds here, and as you can see, they're fairly used to people. It's been a long time since I've been this close to a deer. They are everywhere out here. There are just dozens and dozens of them. So cool that they just are happily existing with us here. These bunkers are very cool, but they're also a little bit eerie. I don't know if you can hear what I'm saying. It's probably pretty echoey. Looking at our friend back there having its breakfast makes me think it's a good time for me to have some more breakfast. I just had yogurt and coffee this morning, so I am a little hungry, although I'm not sure bark would really do it for me for a meal, but yeah, seems to be well fed and healthy, so maybe I should look into getting some bark for breakfast one of these days. So here's a look at the top of the bunker here where the turrets was. And of course it was here because out there is the Sound, which connects out to the ocean. And so this was the area that they were guarding, obviously. Very cool to be able to walk around on these things and get to look in them. So very cool. Since we're up on a little perch here, sort of, we get a good view out to the Sound beyond, and there are a bunch of little islands out in the distance that we can see, and somewhere out in that direction is Vancouver Island, which is Canada. One of these days I want to get out there, but have not been able to do that yet. I have lots of friends that live out on Vancouver Island, so it would be nice to get back out there at some point. Not sure if it will be this trip or not. I keep putting it off. One of these days I'd like to get back there. I haven't been there since I was a little kid. Well, let's say goodbye to our friend here. Goodbye, dear. Still eating, making me hungry still. And let's walk along. Go up the hill a little bit more. I want to walk today. It's still very chilly. I was hoping it was going to warm up a bit, but it hasn't yet. Well, I just found something that I've missed on my previous visits out here. This little shed here behind us. This held a spotlight that would wheel out over these tracks and would shine 4.5 miles out into the sound out ahead of us here. Just up the road a little bit here is another battery, and this one is much larger than the last one we looked at. So cool to be able to get right up to these, although I always think this is probably a bit of a liability for the state, so it makes me think it's an extra nice thing that they leave these open for us to climb around on. Let's check this one out inside. Since it's so much bigger than the other one. You know, I should have thought ahead and brought a light or a flashlight or something, because I can see, but yeah, no, you can't really see much, can you? Not only do you have echoes, but we're lost in the shadows here. You'll just have to come out here and see this for yourself, because this is really fun. Down in here, just wandering around through, seeing where they lead. Just so very cool. You know, it's kind of amazing, because I've seen more deer today than I have people. How is that possible? Such a beautiful spot out here, plus it's just so interesting and fun. How is this place not just packed full of people? Not that I'm complaining, mind you. It's kind of nice to have this mostly to myself. Well, this battery is up a little bit higher than the last one, so I thought I'd come over to the edge here and see if I could get a glimpse of Vancouver Island, which should be off in that direction, I think. Can't see anything. We can see some of the closer islands here, but it's just a little bit too cloudy and hazy out to be able to see all the way to Canada from here, unfortunately. Still a very pretty view, though. And I could stay up here for quite some time, but it's probably coffee time now, and maybe burrito time too. That light breakfast is now telling me it's a little past time to be getting some food in me, so let's wander on back to the van. I actually have some really good food to prepare, burrito of course, and some really excellent coffee to get into as well. One thing that we should mention is if you do want to stop at a Washington State Park, you will need what's called a Discover Pass, and you'll see these signs posted that you need the Discover Pass The bigger parks like this one, you can buy them at the office when you first drive into the park, or there's actually a kiosk around on the other side of the park where you can just purchase a pass without having to talk to anybody. So they're really easy to get. I actually buy my passes at REI, since there's REI locations all over the state here. But they're about $15 for the day or $30 for a yearly pass. And I highly suggest getting a yearly pass if you do want to spend any amount of time in Washington State. The last time I was here at this park, I saw somebody get a ticket because they decided not to get a pass. So just a little reminder. All right, I'm going to get some coffee going here first. Then we'll do lunch second. I have a slight little dilemma in that this jacket, which I really like, this is an REI co-op jacket, and it is a very good deal for a down jacket. It's just been fantastic, and I bought it when I was based in Southern California, and I thought it was the perfect winter jacket for down there. Very light, very easy to pack away, and very warm. Trouble is, it's not a perfect Pacific Northwest jacket because it can't handle a whole lot of rain. So I do have a waterproof rain jacket that I will put on over it, but that does mean I have to carry two jackets with me wherever I go if there's a possibility of rain. So it's not exactly the perfect jacket. So I'm not quite sure what to do with it. I'm wearing it, I like it. You know, today there's no real chance of rain, so it's a perfect day to use it today. I'm liking the warmth of it too, so, you know, I mean, all around it's a fantastic jacket, but because of me being more Pacific Northwest located nowadays instead of desert located, maybe I need to look into another jacket. It's not really a thought that I want to think about, but it is an unfortunate thing that you know, there's different weather types wherever we are, and if I am going to be up here, I may need something that can handle a little bit more wet weather than this thing. I don't know, just a thought. A better thought would be to think about drinking some really good coffee, because that doesn't involve me spending money. I've already got some really good coffee on hand. So every place has its benefits and its drawbacks, and there are a few drawbacks to being here in the state of Seattle. One of the benefits, though, is coffee. There are a bunch of really good coffee places here, and lots and lots of great little small roasters that are not really sold nationwide, but they're sold just in small areas around western Washington state or western Seattle state. That's going to make a lot of people very angry that I keep making that joke. This is one of my absolute favorites. This is probably my second favorite coffee bean of all the coffees I've ever tried, and it's from a grocery store of all places. And the funny thing about this is they do not tell you who roasts this for them. I've asked several people at the grocery store. In fact, I have a friend that used to work for this grocery store for years, and she's tried to find out as well. I don't think she's actually gotten an answer either, although I think I know who roasts it, but I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't really matter, though, because since this is a private label coffee bean, it is spectacularly good and also very, very underpriced. So if it's not on sale, it's $11 a bag, which is a little more than some coffees, yes, but I think that's less than Starbucks, and it's incredible. Now, it is a lighter roast coffee, and they do call it an espresso, so if you do like espresso, this would probably work well for you. I'm just using it in my AeroPress, which is the way I always make coffee these days, but this is a light roast coffee, and in my opinion, this is the perfect roast level for any coffee. It's just a spectacular coffee. The tasting notes on it are chocolate and butterscotch. Now, they're not adding anything to this. This is the natural flavor of the coffee beans themselves. And they get that by blending different coffees from different parts of the world to get that flavor profile. Just fantastic stuff. And whenever I'm around the Seattle area, I always buy as much of this as I can. I do try to keep my eye on sales as well, because it does go on sale quite often, and they'll sell it for about $9 a bag, which to me is an absolute steal of a coffee when you just take into account just the quality of it, flavor of it, and everything. It's just a fantastic pickup if you can get it, but you can only get it when you're around Seattle. So that's what I do when I'm here. I buy a ton of it, and then when I'm away, I sometimes wish that I'm back here so that I can get more. So, you know, as soon as I got back into town here, of course, I bought a bag of it. I only did buy one bag because I'm hoping to find a sale before I leave the area. Although, don't know why that should be a part of conversation, because I have no plans on leaving. I don't have any plans at all, to be honest. I'm just here, and we'll see how long that will be. I've been missing this coffee. I really didn't buy enough of it when I was here last. I think I left the state with 2 bags. I should have bought more. It was actually on sale with one of the bags, and I was thinking when I bought it, you know, you should probably buy 2 bags while you're here, because who knows when you'll get back here. But here I am right back. It's only been a few months since I've been away. But I've got one of my favorite coffees here, and this is, again, one of the benefits of being back in the Seattle area. I am sort of liking the weather as well. I will probably complain a little bit about being chilly. My nose is a little red because it's cold, but thankfully I've got good warm shoes now, so my feet are not cold, where that's always been an issue before here. Anyway, I've got my coffee here, and I'm going to enjoy this for as much as I can while I am here. That's good stuff. What would make it even better is a little bit of cream. Add a little bit of whipping cream in here. This is some local whipping cream as well. So keeping it all local, at least for the time being. Let's see, we should think about some lunch too, shouldn't we? Okay, so we've got good coffee in hand, and I should probably mention a drawback of being back here in Seattle, or the Seattle area, and that is that it's just dark, and I don't get a whole lot of power coming through on my solar panels in this type of weather and environment. So a little drawback there. I do try to focus on the good stuff, which is why I'm talking about the coffee, and you know, but we should just, you know, balance out everything. There's good and bad things about being back here, and the lack of power is definitely a little minus for me. So it's just something that I have to deal with. I have taken some steps to handle being lacking in power. We'll talk about that in a moment, but let's go pull around to the other side of the park. This is a big park. There's a day use area over there with some kind of picnic places to park. So let's go over there instead of just staying here. Okay, here we are on the other side of the park. This park is so big they have 2 separate camping areas. This is the one down by the water, and then they have a forest camping area that was pretty much back where we were this morning. And this one is a spot that I usually come out to if I'm just going to hang out for the day, because they have this big, huge, open area that you can just park for day parking. There's also another huge battery back behind us over there. That one's really fun to run around too. There's a lot of little chambers to just run around and check out. But right now, we need to do lunch. Okay, for lunch today, I'm just going to do something really simple. I've got some Trader Joe's flour tortillas, and I have some beans that I cooked up yesterday. or the day before. I've lost track now. But these are some dried beans I had on hand. I have a mix of beans here. I had a little bit of my favorite beans left, which are Anasazi beans. They're very similar to a pinto bean in size and texture and all, but lots more flavor. But because I didn't have a ton of those and I wanted to cook a whole pot, I added some other dried beans, some Rio Zappa beans, and they're similar too. So they cooked up really good, very, very tasty beans, and so I'm just going to do a bean burrito, maybe some cheddar cheese as well, bean and cheese burrito. Simple today. So I'm going to do a little refry on these beans, just because they're cold, and why not? And I will add some flavor into them since I'm doing this by just adding a little bit of chili powder. And I've got some, I just got another lighter. I'll talk about that in a second, but I've got some chili powder here, so I'll add those, or add that into the beans and then just smash them up a little bit. I don't think I need any extra oil or anything. I think these will be just fine on them by themselves. I'm going to heat the pan up first. This is a carbon steel pan, so in order to kind of make it a little bit like a non-stick pan, I just want to make sure it's good and hot before I add any food to it. So I'll let that heat up a little bit and then put in a burrito's worth of these beans, kind of smash them up along with the chili powder. It's interesting to me. I eat a lot of burritos, and I show me eating a lot of burritos here on the channel, and I like burritos. I grew up eating burritos. It's just one of those things. But there are a couple of people that try to make fun of me and make some reference to stinky situations that happen because of bean eating. Well, I don't have any issues like that eating any kind of beans. I grew up eating beans. It's just not, it's not an issue. And I feel bad for the people that try to make those jokes. I don't find it to be funny. I just feel bad for the people because obviously they have bad digestive issues and so they can't eat beans. And I mean, this is such a simple meal that can be really tasty, and yet they're not able to eat them. And so they make fun of anybody that likes to eat beans and bean burritos. It's really too bad. I think this is about ready here. So even though we've got some chili powder in with the beans, and they're going to be really tasty, I am going to add in my favorite hot sauce. This is some Yellowbird sauce. This makes even the simplest of meals just fantastic. This is one of the reasons why I like eating bean burritos a lot, because it gives me an excuse to eat more of this Yellowbird sauce. For a little while, I had changed, and this jalapeno one was my favorite, but now I'm back to the Serrano one. The Serrano is just slightly hotter than the jalapeno one, and so I think that's why they kind of go back and forth to be my favorite now and then, but it's usually the Serrano one is my favorite. And if you cannot find any Yellowbird hot sauce in your area, you can check out the description of the video here, and you will find a link to it with a coupon code. So just in case you want to know what it tastes like, there it is. And now here, this is my lunch. Oh, so I was going to tell you about my new lighter. So this is an electronic candle lighter, although I don't use it for candles. I use it for my propane stove here. I've tried these electronic things on candles, and I don't think they work very well, but they work really good for a gas stove. And I've had an old one that has been falling apart, and I taped it together, and it's okay, it works okay. But I had found a new one very similar to this one a while back, and it works so much better than the old one. I was really happy with it. That is until it got drenched. When I had bought it, I had moved where I hang it up. I like to have it close to my stove where I can reach out from under my covers in the morning so I don't have to get out of bed to turn my stove on. And so I put a new little hook over here on the side of the stove area. Trouble is, I put it very close to the outside. It's really basically hanging kind of outside the door, especially when the door's open. It's open to all the elements here. And it went through a couple of heavy rains, and I mean pretty heavy rains. It was soaked through, the old one, and it worked for a couple of days, and then it stopped. And I was a little upset about it. It wasn't very expensive, but I was just upset that I really shouldn't have hung it out here where it was going to get wet. And so that was the end of that one. But I found this one, and I opted for this kind of fetching green color just because it was something different. And this one works reasonably well. I don't like it as well as the other one, but it certainly works better than my old one. So I'm happy that I found another one, but the thing I did different is I put up a little screw over here on this side of the stove so I can hang it inside the van instead of outside where it's going to get wet, because I don't want to ruin another one. They were a pretty good deal. Both of them were about $6 or $7, forget exactly, but it's not such a good deal if I have to keep buying them over and over again. So I want to keep this one in good shape. So this one's staying inside. I'm not using the hook on the outside for anything anymore. Probably not a good idea. I forgot I have a little coffee left from earlier. Let's see if it's still warm. Not really warm, but it's still very tasty. That's one of the reasons why I like this coffee so much, and it is one of my top 2 favorites, is that it tastes good even if it's cold. And that's a plus when I get distracted and I forget about my coffee for a little while. I have no reason to toss this out. I just drink it and enjoy it still, which I will do. And I might make another cup because it's getting chilly. In fact, I think I need to put my coat back on. Even sitting inside here, it's not warm enough to be comfortable. Well, and the other thing is, it's not just getting chillier. I think it's getting darker, which is not good for my solar. Like we were talking about earlier, I don't get a whole lot of solar nowadays, and it's not getting any better today. I was hoping for a little bit more sun today, but I have taken some steps to help my solar situation, which we'll talk about right now. So my biggest power draw here in the van is my refrigerator, and this is a fridge-freezer combination made by a company called Set Power. I've had this fridge getting close to 2 years now, and it is by far the best fridge I've ever had. Believe it or not, over the last 7.5 years, I've actually had 4 fridges. One of the fridges, it sounds weird, but one of the fridges I had for 3.5 years, it was a very good fridge, served me really well. It was just a little bit too small, and it developed a little electronic problem, and I decided to buy a new fridge to replace it instead of trying to fix it. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know, but the fridge that I bought to replace it was very small. It was even smaller than the first fridge, and so it just didn't work out. The second fridge it was just too small. As you can see, I don't have a lot of space in the van, and this fridge, of course, is the opposite. This fridge is much bigger. This fridge is about twice the size of my original fridge, so a much bigger fridge, but I did that purposely because of what happened with the second fridge that I bought. It was just too small, so I ended up getting rid of that fridge. I bought a bigger fridge That fridge had some major issues with it, and I had to scramble and get a new fridge, which is why I got this fridge. And Set Power actually sent me this fridge for a video review, so just to be totally clear and open on that, I did say that in the review video that I made of this fridge. And the thing that I also made very clear was, if Set Power didn't want to give me a fridge, I was going to buy this one with my own money. I was ready to just order it, and then I went ahead and just asked them if they would be kind enough to send one to me for a review, and they were overjoyed to send one to me. I think they sent it out as an express delivery. It was right before Christmas time, and I got the fridge in, I think, like 3 days. It was kind of incredible. Anyway, I've been really, really happy with this fridge. The fact that it is a dual zone fridge, you can set it up to have a refrigerator on one side and then a freezer on the other. And that's what I normally do. But because a freezer uses a lot more electricity than just a fridge does, there are times where I have to turn this freezer part off and just turn it into a refrigerator. And so that's what I've done now. It's interesting that just looking at this as a refrigerator, this fridge is twice the size of my first fridge, but it uses less power than that first fridge did, even though it's double the size. It's really incredible. I think part of that is just newer technology. Fridges have gotten better technology over the years, and Set Power really does make a good quality fridge. I'm not trying to sell you on a fridge. That's not the purpose of this. I have been really happy with this fridge, and so I do like to share that it's been a fantastic fridge, and it was, even if I had to pay for it, which, I mean, thankfully I didn't, but even if I had to pay for it, it was an incredible deal. It was less money than my first fridge, and I think it's made just as good as the first fridge. The first fridge I had was a Dometic fridge, and that's a big company that lots of people know of, and at the time it was the fridge to get. I mean, people were really liking those fridges back then, but I think nowadays other brands just make a fridge that is just as good or better, and I would happen to say that this is better than that Dometic fridge because just of how little power it uses. Now, it only uses that little power if I'm running this as a straight refrigerator. If I do turn the freezer part on, it does use considerably more power. And so since I am up here in the Pacific Northwest, I just don't have much of a choice on the matter here. I have to conserve power when I need to, and this is that time of year where I've just got to conserve power. So I've turned the freezer off, just running it as a fridge. It does give me a nice big fridge space. So this is a big fridge for this size of van, but that does also mean that if I see stuff that's on sale, I just buy it, toss it in the fridge, and I've got it. So it's a little bit of a bummer not to have a freezer, but you know, I don't really want things like ice cream right now, so I can put up with not having a freezer for a little while. Now, I do want to make this perfectly clear. This is not a big disaster for me. This is just something that I always do. As the seasons change, I just need to mind my power a little bit. Since I'm not plugged into the grid and I'm getting my power from the sun, I just have to manage my power a little bit depending on the season. Not a big deal at all. If I really wanted to have a freezer all year long, I would look into getting more power in the van, but that would cost, one, a lot of money, and two, a lot of space. I wouldn't mind spending the money to get more power, but I don't really want to take up more space with batteries and solar panels and all of that. So it's just not something that I want to invest in. If it were important to me, I would invest in it. I just don't see the point in having a freezer year-round. Another thing that I just want to make crystal clear is the reason that I am totally reliant on solar power, and that I will not have my alternator charging my house battery, even though people tell me that I should. I don't think it's a good idea in my situation, and that is because of something I've been talking about way too much lately, and that is that the van needs a new engine. I've harped on and on about that, and I need to just stop talking about it so much, but the fact is the van needs a new engine, and until I get that new engine, there's just no way I'm going to have alternator charging. I think it's much smarter for me just to do limited amounts of driving, because every time I turn that engine on, every moment that that engine is idling and every mile that I drive means that I'm just one step closer to needing to get an engine replacement, and that's something I'm trying to put off for as long as possible. So if I have to make some compromises here and there, compromising power is not that big of a deal. I get plenty of solar power, even on a day like today where I'm not really getting a lot. I get enough to keep a fridge going. Now, I don't get enough to keep a fridge and freezer going, but again, I don't really want ice cream in the wintertime. You know what I would like, though, is another cup of coffee, because I did finish this one, and it's chilly. And even with my coat on, I'm a little chilly. I may have to resort to putting a hat on, but I'm being stubborn right now because, well, I don't know why I'm being stubborn. I should just put a hat on, shouldn't I? Let's start with coffee first. Now that I've got some of this really great coffee, I probably should give the AeroPress a couple days off and go back to my pour-over coffee. I have my pour-over brewer out again. I had it put away, just tucked back away under my bed where I knew it wasn't going to get damaged, but I actually pulled it out the other day and have it up front here just because I keep thinking I should get it out and give it a try. I should probably do that at some point. This is the brewer here. This is a Hario V60 pour-over brewer, and it's a really fantastic brewer, but it does take a lot of practice to get to use it correctly. So that's why I normally just keep it put away, and I usually just go with the AeroPress, because the AeroPress, you don't need to do much and you get really good coffee out of it. So we'll just keep using the AeroPress here, I guess. Maybe. Probably tomorrow I'll get the pour-over brewer back out. But today we'll just do the AeroPress. I know, I am drinking far too much coffee today, but I am drinking water as well, don't worry. But as long as I've got one of my favorite coffees, and as long as it's also cold outside, might as well take advantage of the fact and just enjoy a little bit. Oh, you know what I forgot? I've got cookies. Since I'm back here where Trader Joe's are around, I have stopped and got myself some more of these incredible cookies. Yes, they are vegan. No, I am not vegan. Yes, I really like these cookies. These are my favorite cookies. So let's crack into one. Just one, though. I need to move around a little bit more, so let's go for a little walk. We'll check out this other battery right here because it's a big one and it's kind of fun to go through. I should probably leave the coffee, shouldn't I? I kind of want to take it with me, but it's probably just going to get in the way. I'll take a big sip and then I will put the lid on it and leave it here. It'll stay warm for a little bit. We're not going to be gone that long. It's just so good. Should I actually take this with me? No. Just leave it here. Okay, so I left the coffee, but I did bring the cookie with me because we do need to eat our cookie. I was walking up here yesterday and I got up to about this point and there was a snake right in the middle of the path. And I stood there for a little while not knowing what to do. I finally just went around it. It left me alone, thankfully. It was a harrowing experience. Look at this place. Isn't this just so cool? Okay, I did remember to bring a light this time. So let's go into these halls, in these dark halls, and see if the light will help us navigate through. It is sort of dark and spooky in here, but in a good way. Okay, let's see. Is this light going to work for us? A little bit. Definitely better than the last couple of rooms we went through. There are some more of these hallways that really go back deep in. Is this one of them? I don't remember exactly my way around. I usually forget to bring a light, so I don't normally go back in these dark halls. Maybe down here at the end, I think I remember there being a big, long, dark hallway down here. Let's go check it out. This actually feels fairly spooky. This hallway keeps getting smaller and smaller, and I have no idea where it goes. What was this even used for, I wonder? Maybe it's just a ventilation duct? I can't imagine this was used for a whole lot, as tiny as it is. Hey, that's it. I was beginning to wonder how far it would go. Okay, so that's back out to where we just kind of came from, well, at least out to the front of the battery here. Let's go this way. Why not? Make our way down through the darkness. Boy, these things just keep going forever and ever. I'm not going to lie, it's a little spooky down here. Spooky in a good way. Okay, that was fun. I could keep going, but it's all kind of the same thing. Let's go up top here and get a view around the area. So this is, I think, 3 different levels here. You get a nice view out to the sound beyond and the campground down below. You know, some of these stairways don't seem all that safe. I'm not really one for heights, so this kind of thing is a little bit unnerving to me. But the view will be worth it once we get up here. Yeah, here we are up top here. Looks like the ranger is over there. Just check to see if I have my pass and my windshield, which I do. This is so cool up here. It just seems special. I know I said this before, but it just seems special to have this open and available to be able to walk around out here. It's just so very, very cool. And you can see the campground down here behind us. So we are on the opposite side of where we started this morning. The other side of the hill over there is where we were this morning. And there's another campground over there. There's hiking trails. I believe some of the hiking trails that used to connect the 2 areas are now not usable. So if you do want to hike between the 2, you got to go the long way around. And of course, a lot of really good scenery. There's a lighthouse out there, but unfortunately, it is not open to the public. I'm not sure why. I have been up here a ton, and I just never get tired of scrambling around up here. Of course, it is a little bit nicer when it's clearer out, because you can see a little bit farther, get a little bit better view around, but anytime I can get out here, I just so enjoy it. It's just such a cool park, and this is another reason why this park is my favorite state park. It's just so much to do and see here. It's just a fun place to hang out. I can't help but to think that while this is cool to be out here now, this was probably not so much fun to have to work out here, especially if it's raining or even snowing, because it does snow occasionally out here in the wintertime. If you were stationed out here, it probably wouldn't have been the most fun place to be. I do imagine, though, that the officers would have wood stoves or some kind of heat in their quarters, but having to work out here would kind of be the pits, if you ask me. But fun for us here today. Well, part of me wanted to head back to the van and get a cookie and some more coffee, but let's walk down to the water, because I haven't been to the water yet today, and it's just a short little stroll here. This is such a beautiful area. You probably get a good idea of why this is my favorite state park. Well, a little bit. I mean, part of the fact is the amenities here at the park are just really awesome. The other thing is I really like the little town of Port Townsend here, and it's just a few miles out of town here. So this is just one of my favorite areas here in the state, and it's a nice place to hang out. You can see how peaceful it is here. It's just incredible. So I had a nice little surprise here when I showed up here a couple days ago. I've always liked this park because they have these day-use restrooms set aside for the day-use area people here. And I've always taken advantage of the fact that there are some coin-operated showers. They're token-operated showers. And they had a little token machine right out front here. It made it really easy to just get some tokens and take a nice hot shower. The water's always usually pretty warm here. But when I got back here a couple days ago, I realized that they got rid of the token machines. The showers are now included in the price of the Discover Pass. Pretty cool thing there. So I've actually been very decadent. I've had 2 showers in 2 days, and now I am definitely ready for some coffee. Where is my coffee cup? Here we go. Well, I'm showing a little bit of restraint. I have not gotten back into the cookies, but I am enjoying my coffee. And I think I'll keep the cookies till later tonight after I eat some dinner. Then I'll have another cookie or 2, maybe. These shorter days are kind of getting to be annoying to me already, even though we're just starting the shorter day season. I'm getting tired earlier. That's not good. Although I have been trying to take advantage of that. I've been going to bed earlier. A lot of my friends are texting me still late in the evening thinking that I'm still up, but I've just been ignoring their text and going to bed early because I'm trying to get myself up earlier. We'll see if that works. I don't know if that's going to work, but I've never been an early bird. I've always been a night owl. So I'm trying anyway, trying something new. It's the right time of year to try to implement this and still get my 8 or more hours of sleep. So that's what I'm working on right now. So I think I'm going to call it quits here today and go find a place to park and make some dinner and There might be a cookie in there too, right? Maybe. But thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it.